Luka Vušković is finally here. The Venkatesham influence and Son set to stay at Spurs. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, my name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Let's get into it. TBR Football understands that Luka Vušković has finally arrived at Tottenham. The 18-year-old defender who spent last season on loan at Belgian side Westerlo has already been capped for Croatia at senior international level. Vušković took to Instagram stories on Thursday evening with a picture of Big Ben at Westminster and tagged the location too. The report goes on to say that Vušković is not a typical 18-year-old footballer. He has already accrued enough first-team experience to really give Thomas Frank food for thought. Vušković has made 36 competitive appearances for Westerlo, along with 11 for Hajduk Split and 14 for Radomiak Radom. He has also won one cap for Croatia. However, the Sun report that Hamburg are eyeing up a loan swoop for Tottenham wonder kid Luka Vušković, the former club of the 18-year-old banned older brother. Teenage defender Vušković finally joined Spurs this summer, almost 2 years after a £12 million deal was agreed with Hajduk Split for the then 16-year-old. Brexit rules meant that Spurs had to wait until the transfer window after the Croat had turned 18 to bring him to the club. But with Spurs stacked at centre-back, especially with £5 million Japan international Kota Takai set to arrive, it would not be a surprise to see Vušković farmed out to boost his game time. Sun Sport understands the Bundesliga is a likely destination and that eventuality. Newly promoted Hamburg, who had Vuškovic's older sibling Mario on their books, are among those from Germany leading the division who would love to borrow him. Football.London report that Spurs' new CEO Vinai Venkatesham will target three things at Spurs. Venkatesham shared that after joining the club, his three areas of focus are football, supporters and staff. The minutes of the meeting with the Fab stated that he is taking the time to learn as much as possible from staff and supporters. He has already met with supporter representatives since joining the club and committed to attending all Fab meetings and wants to operate on the basis of openness and transparency. He stated that the wider fan base will continue to hear from the board and senior staff at points throughout the year. That in itself will be a major change from the previous policy at the club, where moments of public communication from the hierarchy were few and far between. And it looks like Venkatesham will take on a role as the face of the powers that be at Spurs. Spurs Women official statement. They now have a head coach. Martin Ho joins as women's head coach. It says, "We are delighted to announce the appointment of Martin Ho as our new women's head coach on a contract that runs until 2028. Born in Liverpool, Martin returns to England and arrives in North London from SK Brann in Norway, where he impressed both domestically and in Europe across his 2 years at the helm. Just 6 months into his tenure, he created history in the UEFA Women's Champions League as he guided Brann to become the first representative club from Norway to reach the group stage of the competition, winning all 4 games in the qualifiers to secure progression to the groups. Having finished second in a group consisting of 8-time winners Lyon, Slavia Praha and St Polten, they faced 3-time winners FC Barcelona in the quarter-final, losing 5-2 on aggregate to the eventual champions that season. In 2024, he led the side based in Bergen to a second-place finish in the Toppserien qualifying for the Champions League once again and reaching the semi-final of the Norwegian Cup. With the current 2025 campaign ongoing for Brann, they are just 1 point behind league leaders Vålerenga after 14 games. Prior to his time in Norway, Martin had a spell as assistant coach with Manchester United Women across 4 seasons, which included an appearance in the FA Cup final in 2022-23 and a second place finish in the Barclays Women's Super League. Spurs said, "We are excited for Martin to lead the team as we prepare for our 7th season in the Barclays Women's Super League. Further updates on Martin's coaching staff will follow in due course." And reports this morning that LAFC are reportedly targeting Son Heung-Min to fill their designated player slot after Olivier Giroud's departure. While negotiations with Tottenham are ongoing, a move this summer is unlikely. Son is expected to remain at Spurs for the 2025-26 season after triggering a contract extension with the club and new coach Thomas Frank viewing him as central to their plans. Though long-term reports suggest Son favours a post-2026 move to the US for lifestyle reasons and privacy, he remains focused on finishing his European career strongly, particularly eyeing another Champions League run. Tottenham's transfer strategy reflects confidence in keeping Son, and his participation in key pre-season matches is planned. A January 2026 move could be reconsidered if circumstances change, but a contract renewal at Spurs is also possible depending on his form. Eventually, a final career chapter in MLS, likely with an LA club, appears to be on the horizon. And finally, there are 59 days left in the transfer window, 15 days left until our first friendly versus Reading, and 43 days left until our opening Premier League game versus Burnley. Well, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Firstly, Luka Vušković. We've been waiting ages, it seems like ages, for this young lad to join Tottenham. From what I've seen of him, he's an absolute beast, well over 6 foot tall, big, strong, and can actually score a goal. I think this kid's got a bright future. I was excited when we signed him, frustrated that we couldn't get him with the squad sooner, but that's the Brexit regulations for you. But he's in London and Thomas Frank is going to have a good look at him. We are well stocked in centre-back position, but it's up to Vušković to really turn Thomas Frank's head, I suppose, and make him think and believe that Vušković should be part of his squad this season going forward. If not, you would think that possibly another loan. I would prefer, if Vušković is going to get loaned out, to be loaned to perhaps a championship club, or certainly one in the UK, just so he gets a bit more experience, certainly of the Premier League. But let's wait and see how that one goes. But I really want to see Vušković in pre-season and see how he handles himself, because I'm excited to see what this lad can do. Vinai Venkatesham reports still coming out on how much he's changing behind the scenes at Tottenham. He said his 3 main objectives of football, supporters and staff. Well, that's music to our ears, really. Rome wasn't built in a day, but you can see his influence already with the tifos and the flags and the ones in Bilbao as well. He seems a lot more communicative than others that have come before him. So it'd be really good to hear from Vinai and more, even Daniel Levy's of this world. We want to hear from them regularly. Whether that's once a quarter or whatever, it would be nice to hear from them. And more fans forums, in my opinion, as well. The club need to be more open and transparent, as he says. In what he says, well, just make good on your promise. Let's hear from them more often, because it's all cloak and dagger sometimes. And us as supporters, we don't know what's going on. And then the rumours start and guesses start, and it goes on social media. And then everybody gets themselves in a bit of a tiz-was when things aren't going well. But if we can hear from these people, it can only be a positive, in my opinion. Spurs Women have a new head coach in Martin Ho. Guy comes with good calibre when you look at his record, so that's really good that the Spurs Women are going to have a new coach. Obviously been without one since they sacked Robert Willingham, but they've been signing players much the same as the men's team, actually been signing players without a manager in place. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how this Martin O can actually take the women forward, because hasn't been a brilliant season for Tottenham women, so hopefully they can push up the table and start challenging for things again. This rumours and reports that Son is about to stay at Tottenham for this season. I think we all as supporters wouldn't mind, well, perhaps a majority, I'm speaking for myself here actually, but if Son wants to stay, let him stay. If he wants to go, let him go. That's always really been my opinion. If Son wants to stay around, I think he could be a really good influence for the younger players at the club. But if he wants to go, let him go. It would have been quite good for Son as a last act as club captain to lift the Europa League trophy and then just go and do whatever he wants to do. But you know, if these reports are to be believed, then Sonny is going to be staying at the club, which again, I'm not fussed about. I love Sonny and I'd love to see him at the club, but I really hope this doesn't impact our purchase of wingers and forward players. We still need to make those purchases regardless of whether Son stays or goes. Those incomings are still paramount in my opinion, with the Kudos link still rumbling on, and I'm still keeping something in the back of my mind that we might get Eze, but I very much doubt it. And the days left for the transfer window and the games is coming round quick. I mean, it only seems like yesterday that Europa League final. And now all of a sudden, you know, we just got just over a couple of weeks till pre-season starts. So I just want to see Tottenham get some names through the door. Please, Spurs, come on, get your finger out and get some signings in. I know the players are only back this Saturday, but come on, Thomas Frank must have an idea of what he wants for this squad already. So we really need to start getting these players through the door. Anyway, get down in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling right now as a Tottenham fan and your thoughts on the stories in this video. Come on, you Spurs.